You hear that loud squealing toilet? So is your toilet squealing like this one was and making all sorts of toilet noise? We're gonna show you how to fix this and make your toilet nice and quiet again. So I noticed that the float has come all the way up and stopped, but yet the water's still running. So it's having a hard time shutting off the flow of the water. It will catch up in a few seconds, but it just shouldn't still be running now that the water has already hit the water fill line. Because your toilet should be seen and not heard all day long, except for occasional flush in between. So to repair your squealing toilet and get rid of all of that toilet noise, we need to replace this. This is your culprit. This is your fill valve. Now, we've done previous repair videos on the fill valve, and we always have trolls that will come in and say, "You're an idiot. All you got to do is buy the $2 gasket and put it in there and solve your problem. You shouldn't have to buy a whole new one." But the problem is what if you drive all the way down to Home Depot to get this $2 gasket, bring it all the way home, and it doesn't solve your problem? Maybe there's a crack in that. Now you wasted your time. Now you have to go all the way back and buy a whole new valve anyway. That's why I suggest you just replace it with the entire assembly. This is the Fluidmaster PerforMAX fill valve, and this is $15 at Home Depot. I'll put a link to it in the video description below for you at Home Depot, Lowe's, and Amazon. Whenever we give you links to tools and products, those are our affiliate links that we get a small commission if you buy through there. So we thank you for supporting our channel that way. And it's actually a very easy 5-minute install. You're gonna be like, dude, I can't believe I was sitting there for weeks. Okay, the first step you have to do here is you gotta turn off the water supply. Now I just have a 1/4 turn ball valve here that I installed a few years ago. And that's all you gotta do is turn it 90 degrees away from the line. If it's pointing up in line with the hose, it's on. If it's 90 degrees away from the hose, it's off. And you should exercise these once or twice a year just to keep them from sticking. Now you want to give it one last flush and try to get as much water out as possible. So when you're done flushing, there should be about 1 inch or so of water in the bottom. Now, sometimes I just reach in with my shop vac and vacuum out that water. Then you want to make sure you put down a little pan here underneath where you're going to undo the hose from the bottom of the toilet, and it will catch all of that excess water. Now let me just remind you, these are supposed to be hand tightened only. Even the instructions tell you that, but most people use pliers and they way over tighten them. So hopefully this comes off with just your hand. And if you have any trouble with it, then you can use a pair of channel locks to undo it. See, not a whole lot of water came out. Okay, the next step is, see this white plastic nut that's right here? That's what's securing the fill valve to the tank. So we just need to unscrew that. And again, it should be hand tightened only, see? So it should just come right off. Set that aside, and guess what? Now, see, that'll let some of the rest of that water out. Now, if you vacuumed the water out, you wouldn't have to deal with any of this. But I'm just showing you this way because most DIYers are going to do it this way. Now that you've removed the plastic nut and the water's all drained out, guess what? It's all loose. You can pull your fill valve up and out now. So your fill valve is now free to move about the country. You can remove it out of there. And then remember to unclip it also. Assuming your old fill valve was set to the right height, you now want to adjust the new one to be the same height. So you grab it here, and you grab it on the bottom and just twist to the left, see? And it's gonna make it bigger and bigger. You're basically unthreading a gigantic plastic screw. And you wanna do this until they're the same height. I think we've got it now, they're both the same height. Okay, so now we're going to insert the new fill valve right back into that hole at the bottom of the toilet there, and just rest it there for a second. We want to make sure our adjusted height here is 3 inches above the top of this overflow pipe right here. See, and this is where everybody gets it wrong because nobody pays attention. Nobody ever reads the directions, and the manufacturers are very specific about it. So here you see the top of the overflow pipe is at 9 inches. And then over here, the top of our fill valve is at 12 inches. We're good. Too many people set that too low. Now you're going to take your clip and we're going to attach it to the other end of the tube. So the water tube coming out of the fill valve. And a lot of people make the mistake of just dumping the tube in the tank. That's not where it's supposed to go. It's supposed to clip here onto the other side of the overflow pipe. And once your fill valve is tightened in place, you want to make sure this hose is going around and not interfering with the lever. So test it, see? The lever should bypass the hose without touching it. And remember what we said, everybody gets this wrong. Hand tighten this only. I just tighten it till my fingers can't move it anymore, and that's all you need. And then after that, we take the water supply line and we put it right back in. By the way, this may be a good time for you to buy a new hose. If your hose is an old rubber one, I would replace it with a steel belted hose like this. And if yours is a steel one and it's all old and rusty and dusty and green on it, I would replace it with a brand new one. Why invite disaster? All right, again, same with the water supply line. Hand tighten only. They're gasketed, so there's no reason to use a wrench or anything. Okay, now let's turn the water supply back on. And you can see it starts to fill up the tank. Get some stuff to clean out of that water there. See, it looks like the old gasket at the bottom of the tank might need to be replaced and it's starting to disintegrate. And this is where your hose is supposed to be, squirting the water down the overflow pipe. There we go. And it's usually about a ½ inch below the top of that overflow pipe. So there's our line. We're pretty close to it. I want to adjust my float a little bit higher by about a1/4 inch to meet up with that line. You never want to have your water adjusted so that it comes up to the top of the overflow pipe. That's another mistake that a lot of people make too. It's not an efficient flush. You're wasting water at that time if it comes over the top. You just want it to stop a ½ inch. So what I'm going to do is just turn it a little bit clockwise to adjust the float to go a little bit higher now. So the next time we flush, that water will come up a little higher to meet that line. This I like too. You have a secondary valve here. This controls how fast the water comes out and fills up the tank. Because it really should fill up your tank in about a minute. If it takes longer than that, you need to make some adjustments. This is why you should have those newer toilets that are 1.28 gallons per flush. Okay, so that's pretty close to the line. That took about 1 minute and 5 seconds. So your toilet is not supposed to make one single sound all day long. And you see that red flapper at the bottom there? That's what seals the tank from the bowl to allow it to fill up. And it's supposed to hold the water. And what happens is your flapper wears down over time, so water starts to seep in. And if you hear your toilet trying to flush several times during the day, you're wasting water and you could get an increased water bill. I know people that have gotten water bills for $300. This is also a good time to examine your flapper and see if it needs to be replaced. Your toilet should not make a sound. Hear that quiet? It should be like that 24 hours a day. So I hope this helps you out. And if you like what you saw here today, hey, give us a thumbs up down below that tells us that you like us. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, man, make sure you click that subscribe button down below because you're missing out on a lot of really great videos on repairs around your house, construction tips, pool reviews, shop with me through the big box store so we can find you the best deals out there. And we also cover engineering disasters. Well, thank you for joining us today, folks, and we'll see you on the next one.